Let me show you what Donald Trump did in the Oval Office on day one. May have been the most disastrous day of any president in the history of the United States of America. Just a reminder, I don't show Trump audio or video on this channel during my videos. I describe what happened, but I will spare you that. If you want to watch that elsewhere, you can do that. But let's just discuss what went down. Donald Trump signed an executive order in the Oval Office withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. And when he would get these executive orders and sign them publicly, he would say things like, ooh, I'm going to withdraw us from that one. It was very weird. Also, he was kind of like bright orange in the Oval Office as well. Then Donald Trump threatened Spain with 100% tariffs. He believed that Spain was part of the BRICS bloc. It is not. Spain is part of the European Union. Donald Trump didn't know that. The BRICS bloc is made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's the S, as well as a number of other nations as well. But Donald Trump did not attack Vladimir Putin at all today. He was notably silent. Also, Donald Trump did not bring peace to Ukraine in the first 24 hours as he promised. He also didn't attack Kim Jong-un. He praised Kim Jong-un and said that North Korea would be a great place to build condos, is what Donald Trump said. As it relates to peace in Ukraine, Donald Trump was like making a joke about his broken promise. And he was like, well, I guess I still have half of tomorrow to do it. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So utterly pathetic. Donald Trump was asked about DOGE when he signed an executive order that allegedly made DOGE a thing. It should be noted that the executive order really isn't capable of doing that. This is all kind of a make-believe exercise that Donald Trump is doing, but nonetheless, he's giving DOGE an office right by the White House, and Elon Musk will have an office in the old executive office building, which is basically attached to the White House. So in other words, the oligarchs literally have offices in the White House right now. And it should be noted, I talked about this in a video I did yesterday, during Donald Trump's awful inauguration, you had one of the oligarchs, Jeff Bezos, there with his wife. His wife was like wearing like a shirt that like her bra was showing and like her chest was exposed. And Mark Zuckerberg was like looking at her breasts. Like the whole thing was incredibly strange. But Donald Trump said, yes, Elon Musk will have that office right by the White House. It should be noted as well that Democracy Forward, this civil rights organization, filed a lawsuit against DOGE saying that it violates the Administrative Procedures Act, it violates the Freedom of Information Act, and it violates numerous other laws that require that things like DOGE that are quasi-governmental agencies actually follow a process and that they have to make their records public. Donald Trump then talked about Gaza, and he seemed to describe, first and foremost, he said, it's not our war. He said it's their war, and I'm not confident that there will be that the ceasefire in Gaza that President Biden worked so hard for is going to last. Then Donald Trump talked about how Gaza is now rubble, and Donald Trump suggested essentially that it would be a great place to build things over because he says it has great weather and it's near the water. So for anybody who was saying that you thought that Donald Trump was going to make this a peaceful situation, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. And his words today suggest that as well. Donald Trump then signed some executive order called Protecting Women from Radical Transgender Ideology. Just a way to bully marginalized communities. And what Donald Trump wants is people to, listen to him and get involved in culture wars over penises and vaginas. And while he bullies the transgender community, who, by the way, we will always stick up for here on the MeidasTouch Network. And then Donald Trump wants his base to forget about the fact that he said things like there would be peace in Ukraine in the first 24 hours. Donald Trump said that there would be lower prices. Voila, magically right away. Housing would all of a sudden become more affordable and accessible. And all of these other more jobs would be created right away. So Donald Trump wants to distract with a culture war, as I've said before, WM WMD, weapon of mass distraction. Don't be distracted when Donald Trump does things like say, I'm changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which is one of the executive orders he signed in one of his proclamations today. Say, how about the Gulf of lower egg prices, bro? That was one of your promises, but that's another promise broken. Prices are going up, up, up. And one of the things that Donald Trump was asked about were tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Now, earlier in the day, the Wall Street Journal had reported that Donald Trump was not going to immediately implement tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and seemed to suggest that he was just going to explore and study it. But when asked about it, Donald Trump said February 1st will be the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. He also said horrific things about Canada and Mexico as well, like really demeaned and defamed those nations while praising Kim Jong-un and saying that North Korea is a great place for condominiums. So utterly disgusting. Then Donald Trump signed an executive order changing the definition of birthright citizenship, by the way, which is patently unconstitutional. And basically, Donald Trump says in this executive order that it will deny the legitimacy of U.S. citizenship of the child, of even of someone who has temporary status. If you were born here, you go on to the executive order. I mean, obviously, ex post facto retroactive laws are invalid, and this doesn't purport to be that, but who knows what they're going to do. But birthright citizenship is within our Constitution, but Donald Trump is claiming that no longer exists as part of a broader plan to basically purge our country of whoever it is that Donald Trump doesn't think belongs here. So this time of the year, many of us start thinking about our health goals, losing weight, exercising more, or eating better. But a goal without a plan, it's a plan to fail. Prolon's 5-day program gives you the tools to put your resolution into action with a science-backed plan that makes it easy to stay focused and achieve real results. Prolon's fasting mimicking diet, it's a revolutionary plant-based nutrition program that nourishes the body while making cells believe they're fasting. Researched and developed for decades at USC's Longevity Institute. By the way, I teach law at USC. It's also backed by leading U.S. medical centers. Prolon helps promote healthy blood sugar, enhanced skin appearance, fat loss, and improved energy and focus. It all starts with their 5-day program. Snacks, soups, and beverages designed to keep your body in a fasting state. No guesswork or planning required, which is a relief after a busy holiday. 3 consecutive cycles of Prolon have been shown to reduce your biological age score by an average of 2.5 years and your waist circumference by 1.5 inches. I mean, look, take a look at videos of me from about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and compare it to right now. It worked for me, and I think it'll work for you as well. Just in time for the new year, Prolon is offering the MeidasTouch podcast listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program from your post-holiday glow-up when you go to prolonlife.com/Meidas. That's PROLON life.com/Meidas for 15% off. One more time, that's prolonlife.com/Meidas. That was great. I think you'll really enjoy it as well. Donald Trump then signs an executive order regarding or pardoning and giving commutations to 1,500 plus January 6th insurrectionists. So most of the January 6th insurrectionists get pardoned, and the sentences got commuted on those January 6th insurrectionists who were convicted of seditious conspiracy. So the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, commuted, no longer going to be in jail. As you go look at like Stuart Rhodes, Kelly Meggs, Kenneth Harrelson, people who the Department of Justice said engaged in terrorism against the United States. The worst of the worst, the most violent January 6th insurrectionists, all being released, their sentences commuted, and Donald Trump saying that as it relates to some of the most violent ones, they've served enough time. He may even explore a full pardon totally declaring them basically to have committed no wrongdoing at all. But they're being released regardless. Their sentences are being commuted, and they're going to get released forthwith. And no more January 6th insurrectionists in jail. The worst of the worst will be free. Now, even the Republican federal judges, the ones that Trump appointed, warned Donald Trump against doing this. But one of the first moves Donald Trump did was empower the worst of the worst January 6th insurrectionists. He said, look, regarding the violent ones who beat and tried to kill cops, Trump said they've been in jail for a long time already. And he said that the FBI was involved spreading lies and conspiracies. Donald Trump was then asked about TikTok and cutting a deal with TikTok. And then Donald Trump said, maybe I won't do a deal with TikTok. TikTok is worthless without me, he says. He then describes some kind of bizarre deal that he's conceived or concocted in his mind, whereby the United States government would take a 50% interest in TikTok. So you're going to have the government. You want to increase the government so the government becomes a shareholder of TikTok at a 50-50 JV. And then I would assume, based on the position that Donald Trump gave to Kari Lake, that this would be something that Kari Lake would control. So Trump wants to control TikTok through the United States government and says that, yeah, he may not cut a deal. Also, Donald Trump kind of shortened the potential length of the deal making period, the extension from 90 days to 75 days as well. And so just a very kind of bizarre plan that Donald Trump has there. I guess a few other things to discuss about what went down over the past 24 hours as well. Vivek Ramaswamy resigned from DOGE. He goes, it was my honor to help support the creation of DOGE. He's going to be announcing whatever his next plans are soon. You had Kid Rock go on Fox, and he talked about how Trump's enemies' heads should be put on a guillotine. Word for word, some people's heads should be put in a guillotine. That's what Hannity and Fox are platforming right now. And then Donald Trump revoked 3 executive orders that are noteworthy to discuss. A bunch of others. He revoked an executive order establishing the United States Council on Transnational Organized Crime. In other words, he's pro-crime. He rescinded an executive order lowering prescription drug costs for Americans. And he also rescinded an executive order for the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. Oh, and another executive order Trump just signed gives the White House counsel the full authority to give interim top secret security clearance to whoever Donald Trump wants for up to 6 months. So regardless of if you pass any background checks, if Trump wants you to have top secret security clearance, you get it right now. So that's a roundup basically of what went down in the Oval Office. As I said, the worst day in the history of the presidency, potentially in the United States. I don't play Trump audio. I don't play Trump video, but I give you all the data. Asen, one of our senior producers here, posts the videos on social media. So if you just want to see it for yourself, if you don't believe I've accurately narrated everything that happened and you need to hear Trump say it, go follow Asen. You can see the clips. He has them all listed there. I don't show those anymore. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. Check out MeidasPlus.com. Subscribe there and subscribe to Patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 500,000 followers.